Get softer, smoother, and more even-toned skin after just one use with the new Gentle Exfoliating line from Cetaphil. Formulated with a unique triple acid blend that promotes surface skin cell renewal, these gentle chemical exfoliators remove dead skin cells and refine skin's texture while hydrating, resulting in softer, smoother, more even-looking skin. Shop the new Cetaphil Gentle Exfoliating line in the face and body aisles at your local Target store or online at Cetaphil.com.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your own online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify's there to help you grow. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to the other leading commerce platforms. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/promo. Shopify.com/promo.
Hello and welcome to The Price of Football, the show that looks at the money behind the beautiful game with me, Kevin Day, and Liverpool University's Kieran Maguire. This is the second of our special summer season pods, Kieran. Although I'm actually so worried. I know the Baroness gave you such a stern lecture about not working while you were away on your holiday in the sun that I'm paranoid that this might count as work, even though you've pre-recorded it before you've gone on holiday, that she might be cross. The mere fact that your voice is going out across the ether.
Yes. I've had the... Kieran, you've got a work-life balance problem in that you don't have a life. And and that was put with a fairly stern look. And I thought, is she being ironic? Is she trying to be funny here? Is this as a one-liner? And then I realised it wasn't. So, yes, I won't be tuning into the show to listen to our dulcet tones, and I'll be spending some of the time at home anyway. But yeah, I've officially been banned. You can't go into the office. We are ring fencing the next couple of weeks.
Well, if you're on a lovely island somewhere, then of course you can't go into the office. Although I know for a fact that the Baroness doesn't tend to listen to the pod, so I can reveal that you were planning before you went on your holiday to try and sneak a microphone into your luggage in case there was some big news in the financial world and we had to record a story on the beach. Yes, work-life balance involves both work and life, Kieran, so just sit back and enjoy the sunshine while this is going out. Our first question, Kieran, in our seasonal summer special comes from Wout de Seine. Apologies again, Wout, if I haven't pronounced that correctly. But Wout says that he has a background in finance and he loves sports. So naturally, I take an interest in the financial rules applied by governing bodies. I just love the word naturally there. So naturally, Wout takes an interest in the financial rules applied by governing bodies, mainly the financial fair play rules of UEFA. I even wrote my thesis about sports washing, financial doping, and how Manchester City and PSG could bypass FFP rules. But my question would be, why are the FFP rules based on an allowed loss? Why is it based on the accounting number, profit or loss, as that figure can be manipulated with some creative accounting, as Chelsea and so many others have shown? It's my understanding that a governing body that wants to apply decent financial rules should also look at the cash flow statements of a club. I think every finance person will say that the cash flow of a company is more important than profit or loss, so I find it strange that UEFA does not see that. It's quite a heavy and detailed question for your summer on the beach, Kieran, but it's an interesting one. And also, it kind of reflects a question we had in our pod last week, our first summer special pod, about why clubs use EBITDA, because that doesn't always give a full illustration of a club's finances.
Yes, my heart skipped a beat when I read this question. And the reason for that is I come from an insolvency background. I come from a background of doing investigations into companies. And I appreciate it was a long time ago. Investigations into companies that were in financial distress. Often, many of those subsequently went into administration. Companies do not go bust due to a lack of profit. Because if you take a look at a company such as Amazon lost money for the first 12 years of its existence or something like that. Companies go bust due to a lack of cash. If you cannot pay your supplier, if you cannot pay this month's wage bill, then you've got a crisis. And therefore, greater emphasis on cash is something which I would always encourage. I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but myself and Christina Philippou, we've written 2 analysis questions into the state of English football on behalf of the government. We were commissioned by the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport, and we did this willingly. We were not paid for it, so there was no cash flow from the taxpayer before anybody starts. Just to go back to the issue of cash, and did this willingly because it's part of public service. And we did look at cash, and I know when there's been some other organisations, they've tried to create things such as sustainability indexes, and I think there's a greater emphasis on cash on those. So yes, I think cash should be used as part of a portfolio of measures that are used to assess clubs. I wouldn't use it by itself for exactly the same reasons I wouldn't use profit by itself. It is very, very easy to be a creative accountant. And I used to teach creative accounting courses on Wall Street and Canary Wharf until the 2007 global economic crash arose, which was caused partly by creative accounting. And then for reasons I can't explain, my phone stopped ringing as a result of that. So it's very easy if you've got a single performance measure to be creative and to circumvent the rules. If you've got 2 or 3 measures looking at different aspects of an organisation's finances, to come up with creative accounting which ticks all 3 boxes is actually that much more difficult. So I would certainly take it into account. And if you take a look at the operating cash of a football club, which I guess is what Avut is looking at here, there are some merits in it. At the same time, it would take me about 5 minutes to work out a scheme to get around it. So you're not necessarily going to have a cure-all if you're just going to look at cash flow, or if you're just going to look at profit, or if you're just going to look at financial leverage, or whatever it's going to be.
Okay. Damien Roden has our next question. The question is from Damien: I was wondering if all non-football income, for example NFL games at Spurs, counts towards the team's budget and FFP calculations. With Real Madrid renovating their stadium to include shopping villages and Man City redeveloping half of East Manchester, is there any limit to what can actually be included?
I think this is a really valid question, and diversification of revenue by football clubs I think should be encouraged, because we've said on the show from day one, football's a spectacularly dumb industry. What other organisation do you know is only open for 25 days a year in terms of bringing money in when it's got costs going out through 12 months of the year? With regards to Spurs and the NFL, because it's utilisation of the stadium, that comes in under the umbrella term of commercial revenue. And Spurs have done spectacularly well in moving from the old White Hart Lane to the new White Hart Lane, in the sense that their commercial income has tripled since 2016, 2017. It was around about £70 million a year. It's now up to over 220. And all of that does count towards financial fair play. And this is why I've said on far too many occasions, Spurs are the best run business in the Premier League. If you want to run a football club as a business, and it doesn't mean that the football side of things is secondary, but it means that the focus very much is on generating revenues, which then allow you to invest in the football. Then that can work. So the concerts, the use of the NFL, the underground car park, the walk over the stadium, which I think you can do, and then you get a photograph and so on. Because all of that it involves effectively the footprint of the stadium, then that's acceptable. As we go forwards and football clubs diversify more and more, we could see a change in the rules, but at present they are very much encouraged to be creative. We've got Chelsea, for example, used to own the hotel at the ground. Well, that generated money. It was the same at Bolton, and all of those were contributory factors towards your PSR calculations. Merchandise sales were included. That they don't necessarily take place on match day, and so they all go into the equation. Conferencing, catering activities, they all take place again, many on non-match days. I think the clubs themselves ultimately are the arbiters of this, because remember, you need 14 clubs to vote for a change in the rules, and at present you can practically do anything connected to the club stroke ground, and that will go into your PSR figures.
So we spoke a couple of weeks ago now, Kieran, about Haringey Council voting to allow Tottenham 30 extra days to have concerts or other sporting events. So every single one of those 30 extra days will go towards their profit and sustainability. That's correct, yes. So that means they're going to be making money on that. That's more than the number of home fixtures that Palace or Brighton have in a season. Yeah. And I think it's right and proper. If the club has had the foresight to create a stadium where effectively you've got a pitch which can be rolled in or rolled out, or you can put something over the top of the pitch which protects the pitch, so therefore you don't get... we've often spoken in jest, but also seriousness, about the grumpy groundsman. If the groundsman's happy with regards to some of these initiatives as well, because the quality of the pitch is not being impacted, then go for it. Yeah, taking into consideration broader local societal issues, and in terms of people want to be able to go to bed at night without a bunch of Herberts singing songs at 11 p.m. As they wander past the front gate. Yeah, I mean, I'm not just picking on Spurs here, but it's great to see stadium being open for more days every season. But wouldn't it be nice if they were open for more days every season for people in the community, Kieran? Just to come in to have a chat, or maybe lend a book from a little library in Sellers Park, that sort of thing. Matt Greenwood asks this question. I did sound like a terrible Legacy fan there, didn't I? I sounded like a Guardian reading Liberal there. Matt Greenwood has this question. As I said, the Premier League has a ratification process to ensure sponsorships are fair market value. Does the EFL have a similar process? Yes, they do. The EFL is very keen to ensure that there is a level playing field with regards to its member clubs, so that one does not have an artificial advantage over another. Does it go to the same extent as the Premier League? Well, no, it doesn't, for two reasons. A, there's 72 clubs in the EFL compared to 20 in the Premier League. And B, if you take a look at the wage bill of the Premier League compared to the EFL, it's much higher. I mean, I think the average cost per employee within the Premier League is something like £141,000. So it's an expensive organisation to run, but it does have the ability to do this. So yes, fair market value assessments. UEFA are doing it, Premier League are doing it, EFL are doing it, and that's right and proper. Otherwise, it makes a complete mockery of having any form of cost control. Otherwise, because we've just seen with regards to Stoke City, there has now been a separation of the club formally from Bet365, but there would have been nothing to stop Bet365 saying, right, we're going to sponsor Stoke City £100 million a year for a front of shirt deal, and nobody else would have been able to do it, and Stoke City would have been able to buy the best players in the world to come to the Potteries. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, by the way. I'm very fond of Stoke. Yes, we know you are. You worked up there. We talked just recently about their nominal change of ownership. This next question, Kieran, and it's already our penultimate question because we're slightly shorter pods while you're on your illicit holiday. I'd be interested to hear your answer to this from Jake Gittins. And Jake Gittins says, do you think there will come a time when children's kits have their own sponsor? This would allow more advertising for products aimed at children and presumably boost club revenues. Now, we already know, Kieran, that the kids' kits are not allowed to have the main adult club sponsor on them if they're a gambling company. So, for example, when Manbet X were sponsoring Palace, the kids' kits had, I think it was a children's music charity. But Jake's right, the clubs are missing out. Why don't Kinder Eggs start sponsoring kids' kits, or some kind of sugar-coated breakfast cereal?
I can assure you the clubs have done their own internal investigations into this. And if it reaches a point where they feel that there is a critical mass of kits sold at junior sizes, which would be beneficial financially, then that decision will be undertaken. Kids want to look like their heroes. So therefore, if I am a Manchester United fan and I'm 8 or 9 years old, and Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes are wearing a Snapdragon shirt, I want a Snapdragon shirt, because that bond that you feel when you're wearing the shirt of the club that you love is deemed to be that much closer. I absolutely understand the rationale behind not having sponsors for adult products such as gambling, alcohol, and so on for junior kits. That would clearly not be acceptable. But would sponsors from the junior sector be interested? Yes, they are. Have those conversations taken place? I can assure you they have. It's just that the numbers have not worked out yet. But I think we are starting to see women's teams looking for independent sponsors, because the demographic of the people that tend to watch the WSL is different to that of the men's game. And if you've got a different demographic, well, what's the purpose of advertising? It's appealing to your demographic to try to get them to buy your product. So, yeah, the people who I speak to in the world of advertising and marketing are saying it's a question of getting it at the right time and getting it at the right price.
Interesting that you should mention women's football, Kieran, because I wonder if there's been any research into this, the proportion of, let's say, under 12-year-olds in a Premier League football ground or an EFL football ground compared to adults. Because I say this, and it's only anecdotal, but we were discussing this recently, St Palace fans. I think you see fewer children at Premier League games now. My theory is that certainly if you watch the England women's team, you'll see far more younger people watching England women's and watching the WSL. So I think there's been a shift there. And I wonder if there is any research to indicate whether that's true or it's just based on watching a couple of games on telly.
Well, I think there's two factors here. First of all, there is the price issue. The cost of attending a match has accelerated far ahead of inflation, and we've spoke on many occasions recently with regards to changes in concessions for older people, and sometimes it's affected younger people, not at sort of primary and senior school level, but certainly when you reach 18 and so on. So I think there's a cost issue which can prove prohibitive for some families who want to bring the kids. But I think the second issue, and here I think you have to give credit to individual clubs, is that the areas of the stadium that we attend are not the same as the family areas. And there are, of course, now many dedicated areas of stadiums which are deemed to be family friendly or family focused, and that is good. I started going to watch Brighton when I was 11, and I'd pop along on the bus, and it was quite lively in the mid-70s when you're 11, 12 years old going by yourself, and there was the opportunity to learn a completely new vocabulary. Well, if I'm trying to, as a club, promote a family-friendly area, then you're less likely to have blokes, and it is blokes in the vast majority of time, feeling the need to go through the full Anglo-Saxon at the left back that they've despised since the day that he started, or Cucurella, as he's more commonly known.
Although, as the late lamented Sean Locke, God rest his soul, once said, when somebody at an airport when he was having an argument about his lost luggage, said there's no need to swear. Sean pointed out that sometimes there is a very big need to swear. Sometimes swearing is the only way you can get around something, and that often happens at football. Actually, I'm contradicting myself here. Now, I was thinking about it, Kieran. I'm thinking about the Parsons Arms. There are quite a few kids in the Parsons Arms, actually probably more than, which might explain the little step ladder up to the bar. Right, so
They've got to get around it, haven't they?
They have to get around it. It's one of the things they need to learn, Kieran. If they want to come and play with the grown-ups, you've got to play by the grown-ups' rules. And no, don't put why have you put a straw in my Guinness? What's the matter with you?
Want a website with unmatched power, speed, and control? Try Bluehost Cloud, the new web hosting plan from Bluehost, built for WordPress creators by WordPress experts. With 100% uptime, incredible load times, and 24/7 WordPress priority support, your site will be lightning fast with global reach. And with Bluehost Cloud, your sites can handle surges in traffic no matter how big. Plus, you automatically get daily backups and world-class security. Get started now at Bluehost.com.
Is it time to change your approach and switch to Air Supra, albuterol budesonide? Now you can virtually connect with a doctor to discuss your options and see if it's time to make a change. If appropriate, you may even be able to get a prescription for Air Supra the same day. Talk to a doctor today and see if Air Supra is right for you. Visit AirSupraConnect.com to connect with a provider.
Brian O'Connor has our last question. And again, it comes into that category of questions I like, as I'm not sure you can answer it, Kieran, but it's worth asking the question in the first place. Brian O'Connor says, which English club do we know earns the most money per fan? Now, I'm not sure how you can find the number of fans, he says, that a club has, whether it's social media numbers or shirt sales, etc. So I suppose it's possible to work out which club earns the most money per fan in the stadium each week. But then, as Brian says, calculating how many fans they have around the world is almost impossible.
It is. I've got two answers to this. I have worked out, as far as the Premier League is concerned, and I can assure you that the Premier League values in terms of financial numbers are much higher than those of the EFL. It is Chelsea. They on a fan per match day ticket basis, they are just ahead of Spurs. It works out as around about, this will be including VAT, it works out as over £90 per fan per match. And people were saying, well, I know my season ticket price is steep, but it's not that. But remember, included in match day will be the hospitality boxes as well, where they're paying big numbers. So that's at one end of the scale. At the other end of the scale, if we take Manchester United generate just over £600 million per year. And according to the audited financial statements of Manchester United, they have 1.1 billion followers, effectively one person in seven, according to the market research done by some ad agency, is a Manchester United follower. So that means on an annual basis, the Manchester United fan contributes 62 pence per fan per year. And one of the things that the Glazer family, and now that they've got the sixth Glazer, Jim Bob, as he is lovingly referred to, what they want to do is that they want to address that. And if you can change that 62 pence to £1 or £2 per fan per year, you've all of a sudden got a business which is generating £1-2 billion. Opening that Pandora's box, or opening that magic box of fan engagement is the biggest challenge facing football, and so many people have tried it in recent years but failed.
1 in 7 people in the world support Manchester United, they reckon.
According to the research. Now, I treat the research with a degree of healthy scepticism, which isn't the same as cynicism, of course.
No, of course not. Absolutely not. No. In an ideal world, Kieran, I'm going to sound all legacy fan Guardian reader again. In an ideal world, you'd find out that 1 in 7 people in the world support Man United, and you go, oh, that's nice, rather than trying to get money out of them, no matter what their economic situation is. Thank you to everyone who's donated to the pod via our Patreon page. If you'd like to make a small monthly contribution as well, that'd be very kind of you, and it'll get you access to our chat community, our regular quizzes, and all sorts of other benefits, I'm told. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/priceoffootball. If you have a question you'd like answered on the show, and from now on, holidays will be over, we'll be back to proper long questions pod, email us at questions@priceoffootball.com. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter X, and you can find us on our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to buy our book, you can find details on our website, which is thepriceoffootball.com. That book's coming out in paperback in just a couple of weeks' time. We will be back with our last holiday pod on Thursday, and it's an interview with the head honcho of Scottish football. As he reminds me, that's not his official title, but he's the head honcho of Scottish football, Neil Doncaster. And as ever, it's a very interesting and comprehensive discussion. In the meantime, I shall hand you over to Mr. Kieran Maguire for his customary farewell, which may be shorter because he's technically on a beach.
Yes, I'm happily enjoying a mivvy at present.
No, Kieran, I'm not going to reveal where you are on your holiday, but I don't think a mivvy is. I don't think you're going to be hearing Greensleeves chiming out from an ice cream van where you are.
And that's not a phrase from the Viz Profanosaurus, by the way, just in case anybody, for our younger listeners, will go, what's he on about now? Is he being naughty again? Thank you for all the interaction. We genuinely appreciate it. All the emails and the messages we get through social media as well, and people who sort of, you that bloke from the podcast, and have a chat. It is very humbling. There's a variety of ways you can support the show. One of which is through the Patreon route. The other is to give the show a review. And if you do that, it helps us, according to producer Guy, with popularity, with ordering guests and so on. And it doesn't matter what you say. You could even say you would rather have the show presented by Daniel Craig and the Baroness.
Oh, my God.
And that would be, because he is our favourite person on the world, and I accept my position as a I'm not even a deputy, as I'm certainly not a stand-in either. I accept my position in the relationship, but it would allow me to go and work on my spreadsheet over the course of the holiday, because I'm sure she would want to have that to be a very long conversation.
Kieran, I don't know anybody who would go, actually, I wouldn't mind it if she gets off with Daniel Craig just for a couple of days, because I've got a spreadsheet on Premier League accountancy I need to look at. It's just, you imagine the smouldering looks between Daniel Craig and the Baroness. Wow. There'd be umbrellas in them cocktails, wouldn't there?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, Kieran. I really genuinely don't know what that means. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
The price of football. The price of football.